have been a number of recent developments in South Suburban Dalton. First, the state controller has suspended payments to the village due to the village's failure to comply with legal requirements regarding financial reports. You could sense the anger tonight at a Thornton Township Board of Trustees meeting as the board and citizens demanded accountability for their finances, and the township supervisor held onto their seats. This may be the biggest scandal to hit Thornton Township yet. Mayor Tiffany Henyard has found herself in a lot of hot water, and it appears that things will only get worse from her extravagant spending spree and mismanagement accusations. Residents are outraged because Henry's name has been dragged through the gutter in recent months. And it's not just the trustees who are criticizing her. Federal inquiries are imminent. And let's face it, everyone appears to be waiting for the next big revelation. So what precisely is going on with Tiffany Henyard, and why is everyone so upset? Now that the drama is developing, is there a motion to end it? Freeman Keith, first things first. Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, is about to unveil some shocking discoveries. Indeed, Lightfoot is spearheading an investigation into Dolan's finances, and the findings are anticipated to be a game changer. Rumors have been circulating about financial mismanagement under her supervision, so this report could be the final straw for her career. Lightfoot has been delving deeply into the village's books, and word on the street is that her findings won't be pretty. Everyone is anticipating this report with a sense of impending doom, as this could be the turning point that finally exposes the full extent of the alleged corruption deep. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tiffany Henyard has been facing backlash for a while now. The tension has been building for months, with the Dolan Board of Trustees taking issue with her handling of village funds. They've accused her of overspending, making unauthorized financial decisions, and using taxpayer money for her own benefit. It's safe to say that things have escalated quickly, and now we're in the middle of a full-blown financial disaster. One of the major controversies surrounding Henyard is her security detail. You heard that right. While the village of Dalton is supposedly bleeding money, Henyard has been rolling around in high-end SUVs, all paid for with taxpayer dollars. Residents are furious, and they've been calling for her to sell off the luxury vehicles. So that's one of the reasons I vote no when we go through our board packets. It's like you know some of this stuff. It's like you don't know exactly what it's for. And then when you ask a question, there's no answer. Apparently, the village has already spent around 250,000 currency units on these cars. And if they continue to lease them, the total cost of balloons over 700,000 currency units for her. A village that's supposedly strapped for cash, that's a massive expense. And it's clear why people are upset. But here's the kicker: Henyard isn't backing down. She's sticking to her gun, accusing residents and trustees of harassment and claiming that all of this uproar is nothing more than political games. Honestly, it's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, and the tension is rising. We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around protecting America. Now let's talk about the events. Yes, Tiffany Henyard likes throwing parties, but they're not quite the kind of good times you think. These taxpayer-funded events have grown to be major sources of dispute, especially when you consider the amount of money being spent. Consider the Taste of Thornton Township, a one-day event that cost an astounding $85,000 in currency units and expenses. Many are wondering if it was truly worth it. Rapper Jay Holiday received 20,000 currency units for a 30-minute set, while vocalist Kay Wyatt received 30,000 currency units for a 30-minute performance. Mr. Lacey is not guilty on any of the 9 counts at all. I think he's cooperating, but if you cooperate, you have to own up to your guilt. Between the bounce house, comedians, staff, and equipment, the total costs just kept going up. And even with all that money being thrown around, only about 70 people showed up for the event. That's right, 70 people for an event that cost $80,000. If that isn't a waste of taxpayer dollars, then it's not surprising that the trustees aren't having any of it. They've been trying to rein in Henyard's spending for months, voting to cancel several of her upcoming events. But here's the thing. Henyard had already spent a good portion of the money before the money were cast. It's like she's playing a game where the rules don't apply to her. One trustee even described it as a shell game where Henyard is shuffling money around in ways that don't add up. It's a clever way of saying that something shady is going on. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Who would make a one day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? The main question is, what is it? One way that the government always does in one particularly heated board meeting, Henyard, of course, gave her own version of events. She claimed that the trustees were only trying to discredit her name and that all of this drama was politically motivated. She also claimed that the residents loved the events Henyard was organizing, and the only reason they were canceled was because she was in charge. It was a classic story. Tiffany has always played the victim and defended herself, but it appears that her justifications are running out. One of the most intriguing characters in this drama is Keith Freeman, a township employee who has been dubbed a whistleblower. You heard me speak today, and my board refers to the fact that I do not handle that some of those charges are for you. Henyard fired Freeman, but the trustees are supporting him, arguing that his dismissal could result in an expensive lawsuit. They regard Freeman as a crucial figure in exposing Henyard's corruption, and the fact that Henyard is making every effort to distance herself from him only heightens suspicions. Although Freeman's tale is still developing, he has come to represent opposition to Henyard's purported mishandling of the company. It's not about clickbait, rather, it's about making sure that the right thing is done. However, let's get back to the money because, at the end of the day, this entire saga is really about the money. The trustees are accusing Henyard specifically of spending unapproved funds and frequently using credit cards in ways that raise red flags. Sometimes we receive invoices, but those invoices leads to more questions, and other times we don't get answers to those questions. It seems as though Henyard simply doesn't care about the rules. She will do what she wants to do regardless of what the trustees or residents have to say about it. The township residents are paying for her fund, and we can't forget about the federal investigation. Remember those events we mentioned earlier? Well, a lot of that spending was done on credit cards, even after the trustees voted not to approve the expenses. Yes, you are aware that a federal investigation is currently in progress, and after a year of WGN investigations, it is only increasing the pressure on Henyard. The reports reveal lavish lunches, first-class trips, and dubious expenditures. The FBI has taken notice, and it's evident that her behavior is being closely examined at the highest levels. Although no charges have been brought yet, the investigation is still ongoing. The main concern among everyone is whether the investigation will result in criminal charges, even though that wouldn't automatically result in her being fired from her job that would require a conviction. In the meantime, though, Henyard is continuing to put up a fight. I'm going to address a few issues as the supervisor, so there won't be any remarks made. This is just me telling you what happened at a recent township meeting. Things got so heated that security had to intervene to calm down the agitated crowd. People are tired of her antics, and the tension in the room was palpable. Henyard, on the other hand, persisted in her accusation that the trustees were conducting a smear campaign against her. This is a common refrain, as she claims she is the victim of political harassment and that she bears no responsibility for it. But the evidence is mounting, and some of her former allies are beginning to turn against her. Hello, everyone. This is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the mayor and supervisor of the people. The trustees' questioning of Henyard regarding the township spending, including why so much money was being spent on what seemed to be pointless purchases, such as thousands of currency units on Amazon and even more on cakes for community events, was one of the most contentious parts of the meeting. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 1993. She claimed that the township was facing multi-million currency unit deficits when she took office, but now it has a surplus of 9 and 7 million currency units. Despite her best efforts to defend the spending, it was evident that the trustees weren't buying it. The tension in the room was palpable, and you could almost feel the frustration bubbling over. Of course, Henyard wasn't going to let this slip without retaliating. She went on a lengthy tirade, accusing the trustees of trying to undermine her. Even if this audacious assertion is accurate, which is difficult to confirm without seeing the exact numbers, it still doesn't justify residents are left wondering what will happen next as a result of the reckless spending and lack of transparency that have come to characterize Henyard's administration. The trustees are undoubtedly determined to hold Henyard accountable, and the federal investigation is looming large in the background. However, Henyard is nothing if not defiant. She has made it clear that she will not go down without a fight, and that even if the walls are closing in, she will go out kicking and screaming. Fox 32 has looked into Henyard's employment of a police protection detail, which has cost thousands of dollars and taken policemen off the street. Let's hear what some folks have to say about all of this. One viewer said that she is in trouble and that the plan isn't working. Ms. Lightfoot is prepared to descend. Henyard is undoubtedly on the defensive, and it appears that Lori Lightfoot's impending report could deal the death blow. The metaphor knockout punch is apt. Another viewer stated that she must resign. I don't know why she hasn't yet, just fire her. It's a sentiment that's being echoed by a lot of people with all the evidence stacking up against her. It's hard to understand why Henyard is still in office, but as we've seen time and time again, she's not one to give up easily the legal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps. So where does this leave us? Tiffany Henyard is facing increasing pressure from various quarters regarding her unauthorized spending on extravagant events and the impending federal investigation. She maintains her self-defense, accusing the trustees of engaging in political games and adamantly stating that she has done nothing wrong. The question now is whether she can weather the storm or if her term in office is drawing to an end. What do you think will happen to Tiffany Henyard as a result of her actions? And how do you think the people of Dothan will respond if this drama plays out? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to click the bell icon for more updates on this developing story.